My family's originally from the greater Boston area, but I grew up outside of Albany in a small suburb. I had an unusual family experience for the time in that I had a working mom, and in the late 60s, early 70s, that was not the typical family kind of thing. So to help her out one night a week, I started making dinner, and it was my job to cook dinner on Wednesdays. I probably started when I was 8 or 9 years old. This whole chef thing is a second career for me. I didn't go to culinary school until I was in my early 30s and graduated when I was about 36. I was a real estate developer and broker in the greater Albany market. But going back to loving to cook, I worked in restaurants all through college and high school. And then as a working chef, we're kind of like baseball players. It's a really high-stress environment. You're working 70, 80 hours. It's incredibly physical. And I realized last summer I was running a large multi-million-dollar catering company, and my day would start. I'd get there around 7 o'clock in the morning. I'd check my email. I'd check the event sheets for the week. Then I'd put on my elbow brace, and I'd wrap tape around my ankle, and I'd put the prescription cortisone cream on my shoulders and realize I didn't have it to do 18-hour days anymore. And I wanted to transition into education because what chefs are, we're really coaches and educators and mentors. That's what we do. And so I started looking. Believe it or not, I got this off Craigslist. I applied in April, was contacted in September. I was one of 52 applicants from 16 states, and they extended an offer in the end of October, and I accepted. So here I am. This isn't a cooking class, and that's what I have to tell people about. This is culinary arts and hospitality management. And culinary arts and hospitality is more than just cooking. If I teach these children the best skill sets, the best of my skill sets, and expose them to high-quality products and really good instruction and really good resource materials, and I create these marvelous little cooks, there's no guarantee they're going to get jobs. So if I don't teach them employment skills, soft skills, what employers are looking for, how to behave on a job, how to ask for an interview, how to behave on an interview, what not to say in an interview, how to write a resume, how to write a cover letter, how to thank, how to follow up, how to network and get yourself out there so you are a desirable employee, that's got to be 40% of what culinary arts is. It's a dynamic environment in that one day is never the same as the next. We work probably in the most culturally diverse workforce because you can come from Central America or Asia or Europe, and the skill sets are basically the same. The ingredients may be different. The cultural influences may be different, but cooking is basically physics. It's the transfer of heat and energy. And whether you're doing it in Mumbai or in Bennington, Vermont. So the culinary field, the hospitality industry, tends to be more global in its employment because even language barriers aren't that great anymore. It's very important to have Spanish. Most of the commercial kitchens well, actually, the last one I worked in, I was the only English speaker in the kitchen, which was a challenge. The owner was Italian. The cooks were Costa Rican. The orders would come in English, and as I would call them to the cooks, I would have to translate them into Spanish. So it's just exciting. It's a dynamic, vibrant, kind of keeps you young industry. The effect that the Food Network and Food TV has had on our profession and how we're perceived. You know, back in the day, CIA, where I went to culinary school, was actually founded by the Navy. And the idea was we have all these young men coming back from the Second World War whose only skill sets were killing other young men. They had no trades. How are they going to transition back into peacetime life? So they set up all different kinds of trade schools, and the Culinary Institute was one of the first. So you either learned how to cook in the military, you learned how to cook in jail, you flopped out of school and there was no other skill set you had, so you worked as a cook. And the perception was that we're pretty lowbrow, almost pirate-esque, rabble-rousing, hard-drinking, hard-living, pan-throwing, screaming lunatics. And it's not true. We're highly educated, trained, and motivated professionals. And because of guys like Emeril, love him or hate him, he's elevated the perception of what we do, brought our craft to the mainstream, so there's a greater appreciation for what we do, and I think a greater desire to be part of it. I listened to André Zollner, who's one of the most influential French chefs in the American dining scene. His restaurant, Le Cirque, was certainly one of the most famous. And someone asked him, what's your take on this whole celebrity chef thing? And he said in heavy accented English, I don't understand why this is so. We make soup. I have a couple of pinnacle moments in my career, but the best, Cornell University and CIA did a joint curriculum venture where you now can get a Bachelor of Science at the CIA in hotel restaurant management. So Cornell and CIA have been cooperating a lot, and a lot of students are duly enrolled. So they wanted to come up with a signature event to celebrate this partnership, and they wanted it to rival the Aspen Food, Wine, and Golf Classic. So they called it Corsia, Cornell CIA, and the venue they chose, it was in Albany. It was the Albany Country Club, where I was the executive chef. It was a Trent Jones-designed golf course, beautiful facility. The president of the New York State Restaurant Association was a Cornell graduate by the name of Brad Rosenstein. His family owned Jack's Oyster House in Albany, been around for 96 years. And the CIA rep owned a restaurant, was the chef at Jack's. His name is Dale Miller. He is one of only 96 certified master chefs. They were the committee chairman. They got together with Kevin Zraeli from Windows of the World. They got together with Food TV, the Food Network, CIA, and the current president, which was George W. Bush. And they put together an all-star team of celebrity chefs, master chefs. President Bush sent his personal chefs from Camp David. And Food Network set 5 chefs, Michael Monaco being one of them. The event was at my facility, so I was the executive chef for the event. There were professional golfers there, heavy media coverage, and in a tent filled with about 860 people, I was brought up, my bio was read, and I was given a standing ovation and autographed jackets from all these guys, and it was an amazing day. When things go well in a restaurant, it's wonderful. When they go badly in a restaurant, I can probably think of 5 days that I will remember my entire life when restaurants go bad. But I think the worst, I used to work for a large international restaurant management company. And my job was to move around from different cities and states to build the restaurant, staff it, run my area of the restaurant till it was up and running and the people were trained, and then I would move on. And it actually happened in Burlington, Vermont in the year 2000. I'm not going to mention the chain. They're no longer represented in the state. But having been through the process before, it worked really, really smoothly. In Burlington, it did not for a lot of reasons. There was a shortage of available labor, so we opened about 80% of staff. There were some construction-related, environmentally related issues. And the first night, we decided we're going to open soft. We're not going to tell anybody. We're just going to sneak open. And within an hour, we realized that there were about 1,500 people in line circling an entire plaza. And at the end of the bloody night, we did about $13,000 in sales. But it went so bad. Cooks were crying, sitting down, having breakdowns, walking out. Food was piling up. Orders weren't coming in. The computers were sending them all over the place. One couple actually came in, sat down, ordered their food, got their drinks. About an hour and a half into it, they still hadn't received their food, called Domino's, had a pizza delivered. The pizza was delivered, ate their pizza, paid for their drinks, and left. I had kitchen employees. The expediter, the person responsible for coordinating all this, just sat down and started crying, and he had tickets stuffed in his pockets, and I had to jump in and make sense of it. And it was like playing 3-level chess. I couldn't make it work. So it just stopped. So finally, we just had to apologize to 1 million people and hope they would come back. And I got out of the restaurant at 4 o'clock in the morning. I really questioned my commitment. Chicken thighs. I love chicken thighs. I love cooking them. I love eating them. I love the whole concept. They're low in cost. If it's free range and organic, high in nutritional value. You can take the bones out of them. You can substitute them in dishes for pork, for beef. They get the good rich flavor of the dark meat with the sweet, moist texture of the white meat. And as I said, they're cheap. There isn't anything you can't do with them. We just did them last night at home. Dry rub, bone in, threw them in the smoker with a little apple wood, and they were just just supple and gorgeous and juicy and moist and flavorful for like, what, $1.49 a pound? Because chefs also have to make money. Soft-served ice cream. We went to Curver Cream the day it opened, waited in line, and it was pistachio twist. Wow. That's really difficult. I'm going everywhere. You know, I definitely would like some sushi. And I know people are going to want to stone me for this, but I'd like foie gras. Then there's the typical guy carnivore, nice rare steak, some fresh asparagus, and truffled risotto. I Googled what the most popular last meals are one day because I was curious when I saw that question. Fried chicken and cheeseburgers with ice cream to finish are the top ordered by people who are just about to get the needle. Favorite restaurant no longer exists the way it was, but I have to say my favorite restaurant was when Tom Colicchio was the chef and partner at Gramercy Tavern. Never had a bad meal there. An amazing chef. He's now the host of Top Chef, and he has another restaurant called Craft. Just over the top, fantastic. I got to meet him and work with him a little bit. So definitely Craft, or definitely Gramercy Tavern. In the Albany market, I would probably say Cafe Capriccio. It's an authentic Tuscan restaurant, very New York old world style. It's in the basement of a brownstone, and there's banquettes and old school waiters, and it's just really wonderfully crafted rustic food, not over-engineered, just you walk in and it smells like someone's grandmother's kitchen kind of thing. And in terms of restaurants I haven't been to yet that are on my restaurant bucket list, French Laundry and Per Se, both Thomas Keller restaurants. Total CSI geek. CSI Miami, I love the show because it's so bad. The acting is just like old school Batman and Robin, you know, the Captain Kirk approach to police. It's just fantastic. And the sunglasses, love it. Big Night, and all the chefs going Big Night, and Dinner Rush. Dinner Rush is a remake of a classic French movie called The Luncheon, or The Lunch. The entire movie, it's like The Sopranos meets Big Night. It involves an Italian restaurant where the owner is also a bookmaker. His son is a rising celebrity chef. The dad likes sausage and peppers. The son thinks his father's pedestrian. They're getting reviewed by the ultimate New York Times food critic. At the same time, the Sicilian mob from Queens is having just whacked the owner's brother, and the chef uncle is trying to do a forcible takeover. And it all happens on one night during one restaurant's dinner rush, and in the middle of it, the sous chef is also a degenerate gambler, loses like $50,000 on a college game, and walks off the line. And right in the middle of service, there's also a mob hit. So it's intense. And the food piece is great. I'm participating because I think there's a tremendous amount of value in the students being exposed to other chefs, culinarians, and hospitality professionals, and kind of get a first-hand experience on what other people are doing and what it's really like to participate in an event. I can talk about it and I can show them slides from my portfolio, but if I can't get them out there, they won't see it, and two, people don't know we're here yet. And it's a great opportunity for us to market ourselves and to teach these kids how to network. Plus, I think it's a worthwhile endeavor. And in my career, I've participated in hundreds of these events. And it's a great opportunity for me, having lived and worked not in this market, and I still don't live here, I commute an hour each way, to get to know some local and regional chefs in order to enable me to maybe bring them in to do a guest chef series one day with my students. Or maybe my students can get summer jobs at their places. So it's a great opportunity on many different levels.